All right, Kenny Hodges, Casey Cunningham, how are you?
Doing great. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. All these years that I pulled out your articles from the back of the Mortgage Banker magazine and would
Wow.
share it with my sales team. It's finally nice to talk to you in this setting. So thanks for having me.
And listen, what a privilege it is to spend a few minutes with you. You know, the industry is obviously going through some interesting times. I won't say difficult anymore, but there's been the difficult years as well. And we'll even say we're hitting just about the 1 year anniversary when the whole country went into lockdown. And the beginning of that was really tentative. I think, all the margin calls were happening, things were shifting overnight. Then that settled a little bit, and then we came into this volume surge and handling capacity and having capacity challenges. Can you tell me sort of where you guys are right now with what's going on in today's world?
Yeah, I mean, I think what we're really focused on right now that we're not drinking from a fire hose, right? I mean, you're
Right.
right. Last year, it's hard to plan for something so unexpected like that. We've had a couple of events where we had big refi surges, but nothing since 2003. And my company was certainly a lot different in 2003 than it was this past year. So really getting back to focusing on forward thinking and putting processes in place for big picture type stuff as opposed to being reactive like we were much of 2020. And I think thankfully for us, a lot of the initiatives that we put in place from a technology standpoint and 17, 18, and 19 on the implementation side of it really helped us in 2020. But getting back to more strategic thinking and operating so that we can compete in this purchase market that is our traditional business. But it's nice not to be apologizing to our team for not closing loans at our traditional pace that we were used to, and for having to do maybe an extended lock or what have you. But really just focusing on strategy and putting our people in the best position to be successful and gain market share, particularly in the purchase side of things.
Has there been any decisions you've made over the past year that were new that you think you're going to carry forward?
You know, I guess really from the technology side, one of the things we put in place, and of course, it's just the way it is how we deliver our closing packages to our customers. I think from a loan officer standpoint, we've always been the ones that are at every closing and want to be as face to face as much as possible, and that landscape's really changed. So giving our people the tools and the technology to be as efficient as possible. I think that's a big change that will change our business for that matter. The speed of which things are expected to be done, I think that's a component of it. And really the other side of it, that we had not done. I know other companies had, but our company had not. Is doing some outsourcing of some of our operations fulfillment activity. Uh,
Sure.
that piece of it, we kind of went to that in 2020 because we had to, but we saw some efficiencies that we could pick up and some scale too. So I think from a go forward standpoint, that will stay with us. And really, I guess the other major component is the work from home side of things. Really that remote deal. A lot of our people like it. Some that we've offered it to everybody. If I walk our floor here in Baton Rouge, where our corporate office is, and we have a consumer direct unit in Charlotte, I walk the floor. We don't have an open space right now. We're at capacity, but and that's even with our remote people working. But
Sure.
the challenge with the remote side is, it's this is such a collaborative business.
Mhm.
This business, I think, as much as any business, is where we talk to each other, we bounce things up off of each other, not just from the sales side of things, but in fulfillment too. And having that group here, where they're remote, it's hard to do that. I don't like it. It's something we have to do. I realize that, and I know that all of our people are going to want to go forward with it. But that's just a challenge I think that we'll have to answer as time goes on, because it's really hard to collaborate and really build a company culture when you're not in person.
Yeah, you definitely have to be incredibly intentional to keep the culture that you have in person when you move to online. What's your greatest priority you're working on right now for 2021?
You know, I think for all of us in our space, the technology piece is never going away, right? I mean, I think mortgage was late to the technology party in general. I think Rocket really force that issue on everyone, in a good way. I think we've all, benefited from being held to the fire to keep up. So the technology piece to make sure our people are in a space to be, compete for market share. That's one of our main priorities right now. Giving great service to all components, right? I mean, it starts at the borrower experience.
Mhm.
Uh, and as you know, been in this so long, from a leadership standpoint, we're servicing, so many different people on this journey, right? We got our consumers that we're servicing, we're
Right.
servicing our business developers. And then once we close a loan, we've got to do a great job on the sub-servicing piece of it. So that part, I think, in general for our industry has really been a challenge over the last year on the servicing side. We use a sub-servicer. It hasn't been great. It's something that's a priority for us to make sure we continue to get better on, so that the client experience is great long after our close. And then the other big piece of it, I think, compliance, right? With this administration change, the last 3 or 4 years has been not. It's been welcome. It's been a welcome change from a regulatory standpoint, but I think we can all expect more enforcement, more, activity from the state regulators and the CFPB. So we need to make sure, as much as ever, that our house is in order. And then I think our last main priority that we're focusing on today is our consumer direct unit. We put all the infrastructure in place. I wish I would have done it, 2 years ahead of time to
Mm.
capitalize on last year's activity, but we've really worked hard on that as a small to mid-size IMB.
Right.
It's hard and expensive to have a physical presence in every market, but we
Mhm.
feel like we can have a digital presence in every market. We're licensed almost nationwide now, and it's been nice to be able to push some leads to our branches where we do have some overlap. So that's been welcome from the field, and just building out that business unit. So that's what we're focused on.
What do you, when you look at the industry right now, where we're headed for this year, when things start to normalize, and I'm going to call it normalize, when rates start to shift back up, we're in a true purchase market. How equipped do you feel like you guys are right now in getting ready for that? And what risk is on the table for the industry at large if you're not ready?
Well, I think that's something. Like I said, this is our 20th year, right? So we've seen these cycles before. I
Yeah.
think our that has always been our bread and butter, and particularly from our traditional retail offices. Our referral network, how we get our business, how we market to our existing clients, how we treat our referral partners. That part we preached that all last year, right? Even during the height, even when everybody was too busy to take another application, we preached making sure that that we were there and providing value for our referral partners. I think for the companies that didn't do that, and we all see it because it's just the cycle that we're in. The
Sure.
biggest challenge that we all have is the industry cannibalizing itself, right? And we saw this really coming out of 2016, 2017. You start to see, some crazy offers to your loan officers. You start to see, a margin compression. It's a kind of a race to the bottom in rate because what happens on this deal is as volume starts to dry up a little bit when rates, start driving up, the credit box starts to expand. When that doesn't fill the need, you start seeing the rates come down a little bit, the margins compress. And then, the other piece of it that's always a challenge is, people going after your people and the recruiting aspect of it.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of money come into the mortgage space over the last year with these companies going public and the IPOs and private equity and what have you. So there's a lot of money there to do some things that, that it just creates a challenge for companies like ours. But, we're going to do everything that we can, particularly from a technology standpoint, to provide value for our people so they can compete with anybody in the space.
Well, being ready for it, knowing it's coming, right? And I call it the plan B. You've got plan A right now that's functioning. Plan B is the minute it shifts. How do you shift into that gear, and what does that mean for each company? And those that have stayed focused on purchase, they'll win long term. They understand the shifts in the market, but there's going to be quite a challenge for our industry at large, as everybody has to adapt to the new normal. Once that happens, it'll be interesting. Well, let me end with one quick question. I'd love to get your thoughts. Great teams are a result of great leaders. What do you think the most important attribute is for leadership, for anyone listening in that might potentially want to be a leader one day, or they're currently in leadership wondering how they're performing?
I guess I've always used the mindset from a leadership standpoint is to surround yourself with people that are, or try to surround yourself with people that are better than you. Um, our mindset here is before we hire a great processor or a great loan officer or a great regional manager or whatever, we want to try to hire a great person first of all, with high character, that puts our customers' needs before their own, and as a team player. So I guess from that aspect, that has been a winning formula for me. And then my dad told me something. He was in sales management his career in the insurance business, and he always told me, don't ever ask anybody to do something that you're not willing to do yourself. And so, that's something on my end that I've always tried to live by that philosophy. And really, the last piece of it, Casey, is another thing I've always lived by is for our team, always err on the more than fair side for them, right? And if we can look at something, and if they don't think it's fair to them, then we need to sit down because it needs to be on the more than fair side of them. And that has been a winning formula. But like I said, we've been in this for 20 years now. It's a long game. And for the most part, other than those 2 or 3 days last March when we were getting margin calls left and right because of all the activity that was taking place in the bond marketplace, it's been one heck of a ride.
Well, congratulations on having such a successful business. And I just want to say thank you for your business, your partnership, and what you have done for XINNIX. And we so appreciate your trust and confidence.
Yeah, you guys have been a great partner of ours. We rely on you for a lot of new hires, a lot of ongoing education, and I really appreciate the longstanding partnership with XINNIX. So thanks for all that you do for our company.
Well, thank you so much, Kenny. You have a great day, and we'll talk soon.
You bet. Thanks, Casey.
Thank you.